continues. Of course. So some nuclear experts today calling the crisis in Japan a slow-moving nightmare. A fire at a reactor there raising new fears of a possible meltdown, which would lead to a massive radiation leak. We haven't gone there yet. Let's hope we don't. The experts now closely watching all three nuclear plants close to that quake zone. Jay Lehr is science director of the Heartland Institute, and Dr. Arjun Makhijani is president for the Institute for Energy and Environmental Research. And Jay, welcome back to both of you, by the way. And Jay, you were with us yesterday in Ohio, and you all thought we were overreacting. We had to throw cool water on ourselves to calm down our fears. And I know the doctor has a very different opinion of that. But Jay, first to you, do you believe the worst is over at this point?
No, Bill, I don't think the worst is over from the standpoint of what's going on with the reactors. I think that we may see more radiation leaks. We may see a total meltdown in one of the reactors. What I don't think is going to happen is that there's going to be a long-term health impact on the population in Japan. I think there's likely not going to be any loss of life, and I think that we have raised a crisis mentality that we're going to have more stress-related illness in Japan than we're going to have from low-level radiation impacts. The people in Japan should be focusing on water pollution and waste disposal problems in the flooded areas instead of thinking that they've got an atomic bomb ready to go off in their backyard.
So you stand by your position that you think this is all an overreaction?
I definitely, if not redoubling my position. I'm not saying that there's anything good happening at Fukushima. There is not. These plants are in bad shape. What I'm saying is that the worst case of what may happen, whether they're explosions or just more leaks, in terms of the impact of low-level radiation getting out into the area where the people have been evacuated to, is not going to be significant. And I say that based on our knowledge of the worst-case situation, which this is not, at Chernobyl. When they studied Chernobyl 20 years later, the bottom line was that 50 people died in the explosion from radiation from fire, and that all the thousands of people they thought were going to be affected by increased cancer, shortened lifespans. That never happened. The UN published reports in 2006 that indicated that it was not but a fraction as bad, and we're not anywhere near Chernobyl here in Fukushima.
I just want to get the doctor in. He raises some interesting points. Is he right, doctor?
I don't think so. I suggest that he should read the Beer 7 report of the National Academies, which was published after due consideration of all the scientific literature, which said that the best scientific conclusion is that every increment of radiation produces an increment of cancer risk, and small increments produce small increases. There were definitely established increases of thyroid cancer among children shortly after Chernobyl, and I think he just doesn't seem familiar with the scientific literature.
But Chernobyl was an entire meltdown, and we know that thing was just a disaster in the end. But doctor, to the point what's happening, hang on one moment, just to make this point. It's been reported now that the levels of radiation just south of this area in Japan are 300 times normal, doctor. But even at 300 times normal, it's not considered dangerous.
No, this is
exactly
incorrect.
Right, and I
did
read the Beer 7 report.
Hang on, doctor, answer that, and then we'll get back to you, Jay.
Yeah, okay. We can have a civil debate without interrupting each other, maybe. 300 times normal, the normal is 10 microrengen per hour. So 300 times normal would be 3 millirengen per hour. If this persists over a long, over an hour or two, yes, the risk would be very small. But if this persists over large populations for significant amounts of time, which it could if this disaster continues, we've had external radiation at the rates of 40 rads per hour. At that level, 1 out of every 25 people would contract cancer according to the best available science.
Over an extended period of time, but we have not been there just yet. Jay, I cut you off. What do you think of that?
Bill, these are worst-case scenarios. I don't know what benefit there is by scaring people, describing some worst-case situation that has never occurred. And I am very familiar with the Beer 7 report, and I'm aware that 1,000 people in the village of Chernobyl did contract leukemia. 998 were cured. This is all in the UN report. What benefit is it to scare people to death over a situation that has never occurred? We have 444 operating nuclear power plants in the world. There has never been a fatality in any of them. 200 nuclear nuclear ships have sailed the oceans. There's never been a fatality. And I'm hopeful that there will not yet even be a fatality in this terrible situation in Fukushima.
I started with Jay. I want to finish with the doctor.
What does the Beer 7 report actually say about the risks of low-level radiation? Do you know that? I can give you a near exact quote. That every increment of radiation produces an increment of cancer risk. That's what the Beer 7 report says. That's what the Beer 7 report says.
But we've not seen it in real life at all.
Epidemiological studies are a very blunt tool. And if you look at the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I'm telling you about real life. You are shouting and not listening.
By saying Nagasaki
I suggest
and Hiroshima,
you be the only guest. We're not having a discussion, sir.
Okay.
If you look at the Hiroshima
points,
you're talking about atomic bombs, not a nuclear reactor.
I'll cut through all of this. I know what you're saying.
This is a shouting show.
We have not gotten there yet. And Doctor,
this is a shouting show and not a discussion show.
I understand the evidence you're trying to present, and your evidence you're trying to present suggests over a period of time this can be harmful and even deadly. And again, we're not there yet. Doctor,
he's talking atomic bombs.
I got it. I hear it. Thank you very much. Jay Lehr, thank you. To the doctor, thank you for your input as well. Gentlemen, 10 minutes now before the hour.